Welcome to Mom program, a show about women, family, health, faith, and basically whatever we find interesting while we share the challenging, but at the end, rewarding experiences of being a mom. Today's discussion is about period again. It's that time of the month when you start asking, why me? Why us? And why is it that bad? Let's face it, periods are terrible. They are really distressing, and our lives were much easier before we had them. Sometimes the best way to understand and embrace something is talking about it and sharing thoughts with those who go through the same thing. So here, we are ladies. Let's talk about it. Some of the things that come to your mind when you hear the word period.
Well, for me, it's the word PMS, a premenstrual syndrome, because normally that's the time when everyone in the family has to be careful because
I can relate.
something small can trigger an explosion, you know. I think we all know that the premenstrual syndrome is a time when we have the women are very irritable. We become very impatient. We become a different person. Like, why is this person different from usual? You know, and little things annoy us to no end, and we tend to eat more, I guess, and we also tend to have challenges with things that maybe challenge us emotionally. I guess, in short, we become very impatient. Yeah. So the period, the days before the period comes, I found that very challenging. I found the days very challenging, even though when I have my period, I don't have pain, but the PMS period is no fun. Yeah.
What about you, Hazel?
Yeah, the word patient is the key word. During PMS, suddenly I become impatient. I want to eat what I want. I want it now. I want something done. It must be done now. There's a little mess. Clean it now. Yeah, and then the husband or the child. Okay, mom's, best friend is here visiting once again.
They got the hint.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, according to what both of you says, some PMS signs affects our physical changes. And obviously our emotions and our behavior. For me personally, it affects all three. I can notice that my physical part, such as like my stomach, I will feel the bloat, sometimes I feel the swell, and I just feel tight.
Yeah.
Around my chest area, my stomach area, and it's not comfortable. And my emotions, just like you, I can identify, things. I feel sometimes like impatient, moody, And sometimes I can become very sensitive. I can just cry easily over small matters. And little things affects me so easily.
Right. Yeah.
And then my behavior is just awful. I don't like myself during this season of period. And I am very thankful that I have a husband and a daughter who understands that when, you know, I'm going through PMS and period, I'm not doing well because this comes with pain. I can say I suffer deeply each month. Sometimes I cannot function. I have to stop everything for about 1 to 2 days. And I'm a very active person. So to have that pause is something that I don't appreciate. And to have that pause with pain, it's also something that I struggle with. I don't know, do you both struggle with pain during your period? I understand that some women, they don't experience pain at all during period. Some women, like myself, they struggle deeply.
I don't have that much pain, but I struggle with low level of energy.
Wow, good for you.
Occasionally, but most of the time, no. No pain.
Yeah. I have pain sometimes. Sometimes the pain, some months the pain is really bad. And other months it's not too bad. But yeah, I struggle with energy, level of energy as well. I get tired real quickly and I just need to slow down normally during those days.
Yeah, you know, there are some awkward effects that period may bring to women. Some may experience cramps, severe or mild cramps, but they do experience cramps in one way or the other. Weight gain during that time. Some breakouts like pimples, you know, pigmentation, mood behavior, bleeding, and also sometimes it affects the sexual activity for those who are married. And these are some of the things that women have to deal with when they are going through the monthly cycle. How can we, you know, realizing the fact that these things will come upon us every month, how can we as women deal with it? Deal with these signs, deal with these breakouts during our monthly cycle? Do we have to prepare for it each month as we go through it?
You know, I read and I also listen actually on lectures. There is a way for us to ease the symptoms and so that we don't suffer that much. And it's a lot to do with lifestyle, like maintaining regular exercise, staying away from certain type of food, and you know, just I think the regular good health practice. They said in general will be helpful in easing the symptoms. So the rest of the family members don't suffer.
Yeah, you know, I tried every possible way of lifestyle, exercise, eating good food that will not have an impact on the pain when I have period. But I believe that there's more to that too. The stress level that women carry. We tend to carry a lot of stress in our lives, and stress affects our mood. And eventually it affects our period, the monthly cycle. And I am guilty of that because there are many times when I let stress or I allow stress to overcome me. And as a result, I suffer. So how can we deal with these when we you know, especially for those women who experience period cramps, these breakouts, and other symptoms that come along with their period pain. You know, we need to, for myself, I believe that we need to understand that we need to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And beyond that, we also need to be able to control our stress and to not allow our stress to overcome
Right. Yeah.
our lives. Yeah, you know, periods are terrible, and it is more terrible if we don't have people to understand or be of a support to us. It will be harder for us to deal with. I don't know, in your home, how does your spouse respond to you when you go through that monthly cycle? Do they?
Yeah. Well, I think my husband is very understanding. So he knows when he saw certain behavior, and he said, I guess someone is coming soon.
So they don't get angry or respond in a negative manner when you show the mood or irritable behavior.
Well, he said, we try to understand, but you also need to exercise self-control. Because even though we understand, sometimes we can still be hurt.
Yes.
Yeah, our feelings can still be hurt by your outburst of anger, emotion.
Or impatience.
Yes. Yeah.
That's so true. The self-control. And I'm guilty of that too. I need to exercise self-control so that I don't hurt my spouse or my child.
Right. With our words, actions.
Yes. What about you, Hazel?
Someone said before that we normally let out more on the people who are closest to us. And in situations where we are unable to control ourselves outside, we just lose control at home. And knowing that, I think we should always try to remind ourselves, because having our families there, they are supportive and understand, and they know that, okay, something's happening, and they can understand. But at the same time, I think women have to try their best to remind themselves that, hey, you know, I know this hurts, but I'm not the only one suffering. I'm sure over 1 million women around the world feel the same. And, you know, I love my family. I should try my best not to let it out on my family.
Very good point. Sometimes we tend to be so comfortable with those who are so close to us and dear to us that we just let it out on them without realizing that we're hurting them as well. And we can't just give an excuse that I have period. Please understand me. You know, I'm in pain. Please don't mind what I say or act, right? But we need to remind ourselves that, hey, we're hurting those who are dear to us. Yes, so we need to practice self-control and remind ourselves to, you know, not say or do things that will hurt those whom we love the most. Yes. So we understand that periods are terrible, but if we turn the perspective around a little, we can start to see that it's a constant reminder of how strong we are, because at the end of the day, we are able to manage and survive the pain that we go through monthly. And this is especially for those who struggle with their monthly cycle. But for those who don't, it's a blessing for them as well, right? Thank you, Rita and Hazel, for joining today in a very important discussion on the topic of period.
you know? Menstruation. In ancient Egypt, Greece, and Japan, women used softened papyrus, lint wrapped around wood, and paper to absorb menstruation bleeding. Recent research reported by CBS has shown that menstrual cramps during a woman's menses can be just as painful as suffering from a heart attack. This condition is known as dysmenorrhea, which millions of women suffer from every month. In the week leading up to your period, an increased sensitivity to allergens paired with a lower than normal lung capacity causes between 19 and 40% of women with asthma to experience premenstrual asthma. Most girls get their first period around age 12, and they will continue menstruating until around age 50. Menstrual symptoms lead to 100 million lost work hours in America yearly. Female reproductive hormones actually impact your vocal cords, altering your voice. Women spend over 4 years of their lives menstruating.
Welcome back to our second discussion on the topic of birth control, contraceptives. Controlled birth is the ability of individuals and couples to anticipate and attain their desired number of children, and the spacing and the timing of their birth. Providing family planning could prevent maternal death by allowing women to delay motherhood, space birth, avoid unintended pregnancies and abortions, and stop childbearing when they reach their desired family size. There are lots of different birth control options out there, and today we will be discussing and figure it out what will be the best family planning for you. Retha and Hazel, welcome back, and thank you for joining in this very important topic on birth control and contraceptives. Now, we understand that many families use contraceptives. Well, there are different options depending upon their choice to, prevent pregnancy without planning. And I would like to discuss further, because this is an advantage for many women out there to know and plan well, when to give birth, when to get pregnant, and when to have second or third child according to their desired number of children in their family. Now, in your own experience, have you ever had this plan when you got married? Of course, you might want to say, I want to take some time, off to just spend with your spouse without becoming a mother. And obviously, you might prefer using one type of contraceptive than the other. And then when it's the right time, then you say, okay, let's have a baby. So could you please share some of your experience in relation to this topic?
Maybe I'll go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah. When I got married, I was planning to go for further studies, and because we decided not to have children for a few years, obviously we needed to have some kind of contraceptives, and so what I chose at that time was birth control
pills.
Yes, yeah, birth control pills. Yes, and I was, like 6 months after we got married, we went to Andrews University in the US, and so I was on the birth control pills while I was studying, and then after I completed my studies, then I discontinued, because now we say we could expect children coming anytime, and then I had Jordan and then Crystal, and then after that I've decided that 2 is enough. So and I didn't want any more contraceptives that will interfere with my hormones. And I also didn't like the other types of contraceptives. So finally I decided on tubal ligation, so that I don't have to worry about using any other types. And so that's what I have been.
All.
Yeah, that's what I've been. I mean, that's how we have controlled all these years. It just, what we call this. This is the barrier method, preventing the sperm from reaching the eggs. Yes. Yeah.
Well, talking about the different methods of contraception, just to make us understand better, there are many options out there.
Right.
Depending upon what we prefer and what suits our body, especially for women. There is a type of contraceptive that is called IUD. You know, it's long-acting reversible contraception. You know, it can either be implanted or intrauterine device that is placed inside us. Or some people like yourself use the pill, and it's mainly hormonal contraception. And some people have side effects with it too. Some people don't have any side effects when they use that. And you know, some use barrier methods, and one of the common ones are condom, right? That people use. And there are many other options, just like what you did, permanent contraception, that is tubal ligation. So it differs from each family and each woman. And we don't have a specific kind that we prefer or we can use, right? It depends on each family and each couple. Now, Hazel, could you, with that in mind, maybe you can share what is your type of contraception and how did you plan for your family, especially right after you got married? Did you leave the space between your marriage and becoming a mother?
Now, when we got married, we didn't really talk about whether we wanted to have children right away or not. We didn't talk about it, but we did talk about wanting to allow God to bless us at the right time. So within the first month, I missed my period.
Oh, wow.
I know. So
that means you didn't use any contraception?
No, we didn't. Because what we talked about was we said God knows when to bless us. That was our conversation. So, you know, within the first month, I got pregnant. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I had a miscarriage. I think it was 7, almost 8 weeks. I miscarried, and that's a whole different story altogether. And I did not take any contraception after that. Again, our prayers were the same. Lord, you know when to bless us. We know it's all within your time. So a few months later, I think 3 months later, I got pregnant. And so we had our son. And after we had him, we did not want a second child right away, because in our conversation, we wanted a second child, but probably 4 or 5 years later, we wanted a longer gap. So during that time, we did not take any contraception. We were natural, I guess. I don't know the term for that.
Did you count days? Or maybe
Yeah.
there's a term called fertility awareness.
Yeah, I think so. I
that,
think,
yeah. When you ovulate, you try to avoid those days.
Right. So that's pretty much what we did. And then later on, we were actually trying to conceive, but it just wasn't happening anymore. So, again, our prayers were the same. Lord, you know when to bless us, if it is your will for us to have more children. And so I never used any contraception. Yeah, just like that.
Wow. Even till today.
Yes, until today. Yeah.
Now, I guess some women, they have that maybe challenge, I would say, that perhaps they want to have a child, but even without any contraceptives, they are not able to. And perhaps this would need to, be considered if they would pursue to see the doctor for further consultation, if they really desire to have family and have children. Yeah, well, family planning is very important. I think the choices of method and the timing, it's very important to depend upon God.
Yeah.
And allowing God, like you said, let the Lord bless in the right time. There might be some women who do not use any type of methods to prevent, but they have the baby. Some may not have the baby. They struggle. Some women may use contraceptions, but still have an oops, or accidents. Something went wrong. So I think all in all, even though we have these devices or tools, to be of help in family planning, we need to seek counsel from our Lord, especially what is the right method, when is the right timing, and asking God to lead and bless His will in our family planning. Yes. Family planning do allow women and couples to determine whether and when to have children. And the ability to make those choices is fundamental. But above all, we need to seek the Lord and His will in our family planning. Yes. Thank you, Rita and Hazel, for joining me today on this topic of birth control and contraceptives.
Stress, cramps, back pain. Yeah, wearing diapers I think describes better.
It hurts so much more than you think.
Not really, it's bearable.
No, not that much.
I don't feel anything at all.
Those cramps, it's like you get a towel and you dip it in water, and when you just want to squeeze the excess water out,
Your uterus is doing like...
Constant changes of emotions.
cramps,
In the morning, like, yay!
back pain,
After, like,
abnormal back pain,
Concern with little things.
pimples, mood swings.
I'm mad. What's wrong with you?
the horrible person, I'm a monster.
That's awkward.
I would take a hot pack and put it over in my tummy area.
Lots of water. Stay healthy.
Try to relax and understand that it's gonna pass.
Watch really sad videos or sad music just to let all my emotions out.
Unripe mango with salt, as it with some chili.
Smoothie, ice cream, ice cubes. Yeah, I do eat ice cubes for fun.
Some people will feel sympathy if you said it's painful, you know.
When you have your period, your body is just reminding you that you are a healthy individual and you are still functioning properly.
For some people, when you are in your period, it's just also a good thing because you know you're not pregnant. But for those who want to get pregnant, after you can. So it's just like...
You have the pain and then you have work to do and then you just tell your boss, you know, I'm having this and that. And the boss is like, okay, I understand.
We all have a monthly reminder about how privileged we are, that God let us nurture and create a new life. As Kathleen Nielsen said in her book, Women and God, Hard Questions, Beautiful Truth, the original goodness of God's creation calls every woman to view her body, including its childbearing capacity, as good as glorifying to our Creator. God's goodness shines through all He has made, broken and fallen as we are. God has embedded in women's bodies the ability to conceive and nurture new life. This is an amazing window for us, if we choose to look through it on the God who made and sustains all life and who made us in His image. Remember to visit our website at hopetv.asia. You'll find interesting materials to share with your friends and your loved ones. Also, do send us your questions and comments on our Facebook page. We would love to hear from you. We would see you again next time to share experiences and discuss on issues that matter in this challenging, but at the end, rewarding experiences of being a mom.